Hey guys, Dennis here, I'm with.
I'm Joey, what's going on?
And Rockstar Games has released another gameplay trailer, if you say, part 2. We saw the first one a few weeks ago, everyone went crazy for it.
Is it only a few weeks ago? I feel like it was a little longer, like it was like a month or something like that, but they released so much stuff in between.
Yeah, with the announcements of the Red Dead Online and all that stuff. So, what was your biggest takeaway from the second part?
My biggest takeaway here is that there's more variation to things than I expected. You know, I've been called out for comparing this to GTA 5, and one of the things that I didn't like about GTA 5 was how in the marketing we got told we were going to get a lot of very, very different things that all kind of turned out to be skins on the same kind of thing. Like you go play darts, or you go play, you know, golf or something like that, or you go, you know, doing flying races and things. Certain things felt like just reskinned versions of the same mechanics, but here, looking at what they're offering in Red Dead Redemption 2, the heists versus the, you know, subtle interactions, the way the wanted system works, I'm a lot more excited about the nuances in that and seeing how each of those is not only unique, but each of those is necessary.
I'm hoping that the interactions with other characters or even storylines is more organic than the first game, and that's kind of what this video is kind of saying, like these things should more naturally fit into the flow of your game. And the game looks beautiful. I mean, the environments are fantastic. That part where Arthur is walking through the snow and you see the snow particles and his feet tracking in there.
That's one of the things that I think that we've glossed over, especially because we're looking at gameplay trailers. So, you know, we've been talking about the gameplay, but we can't, you know, ignore the fact that this is a gorgeous looking game.
Yeah, between looking at Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that environment, and looking at Red Dead, these kind of open world games that have huge, vast landscapes and environments, like this thing looks gorgeous. Also, you know, the first-person perspective. Yeah, no, the first-person and the cinematic perspective were something really good, and you know, it's not like what we got from Bethesda when we have that first-person, third-person switch where you have the option of going third-person, but that never really use.
It's kind of clunky, right? But this looked like a really good first-person. This I almost wanted a VR experience of this game all of a sudden. You know, I wanted that Westworld experience.
Yeah, the one in Fallout, it's like rarely I'll go to a third person if I need to like maneuver the environment. This one seems like you might want to switch to first person for some more visceral, engaged, like just like they did for like I don't know if it was a heist or if they were just fighting someone inside a closed area, and that looks like
for some people they might be more comfortable when it comes to combat, switching to a first person and then, you know, staying third person for, you know, character interaction and things like that. But sometimes, like the same reason that like most games take you out of first person when you're driving, you know, even if it is a full first person game, like, you know, like Halo or something like that pulled you to a third person view on the Warthog. Having the ability to like dynamically switch that and switch that based on how you want to play, and even that cinematic mode, you know, just for when you're going through the mesas and stuff with your gang, like that seems like the way to do it.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't interfere with any type of gameplay, I think the cinematic cameras that they were touting would be good. Like if you're just riding on your horse and you're just going through this environment, you know, as long as you don't get suddenly attacked as you're, you know.
Well, I mean, I think you could be, but as long as the switch is easy, well, it's easy to, like, you know, it's the old change view button that you had on racing games where it would, you know, jump out. If it's something like that and it's not having to dive into a menu to do the swap, then I could see people using it more. But, you know, they might have enough gameplay mechanic that they don't have a free button. One of the things that really stuck out to me, though, was looking at the wanted system. You know, we've seen the bounty system 7 years ago with this game, with Red Dead Redemption. And we've seen, you know, the 5-star wanted system in GTA. This looks like it's got more variation to it. It's got more nuance. Sometimes you're an unknown suspect, but you're, you know, like, or sometimes the suspect is unknown, but everyone's still wary. There's the added thing of lawmen investigating, and maybe it's about, I wonder how deep that goes. Like, is it something where you're going to have to, like, Hitman style, start hiding bodies? Are you going to have to watch out for leaving, a trail in some way? Like, it could be an interesting mechanic. The other thing that I thought was interesting about that is they talked about the wanted system with lawmen, but they also talked about other gangs, like wronging other gangs and interacting with other desperados and whatever out in the deserts. And I wonder if there's a similar wanted system, maybe not as upfront, but a similar wanted system going on within the gangs. Like maybe you can be wanted by a specific gang, and maybe it's because you did them wrong, and maybe you're a hero to the lawmen for a little while. But I wonder how they're going to indicate that kind of stuff. I wonder how nuanced it's going to be. We see a lot of that in Bethesda stuff. We see having the different factions and how they regard you and things like that. So I wonder how that's going to work here, because you have a very prominent and physical wanted system for when you're wanted by the lawmen. Yeah,
I'm hoping it's more refined than the first game, because the first game was pretty rudimentary in terms of the wanted system.
Yeah.
And it seems like they've worked on that. And there just seems to be a lot more choices in terms of, they're like, oh, you can just go play poker or go fishing.
Yeah, I mean,
go see a show.
That kind of stuff doesn't really impress me, because it feels like it's padding out these videos of like, you can play poker or dominoes.
I mean,
I
rarely do any of those things.
Yeah,
I'll do it just for a little bit, just to try it out.
And like the five-finger fillet kind of thing. Yeah. It's very much like, this isn't the stuff that you made the game for, and there's no one that's going to jump in and say, I'm coming in just to play this.
I think it's one of those things where you just play it as, a distraction for a short amount of time,
a little while,
and then that's it.
And you know what? There's some cool mechanics to it. Like maybe there's a mission or two tied to it sometimes, or maybe there's like a little side quest where you've got to win, you've got to beat someone at poker or something like that. Like I can see it folding into the story that way, and I think if they are, especially if they are building it for the story, and then they realize they had this mechanic. The mechanic of a poker game or something like that, and they went, well, shit, why don't we leave the mechanic in and you can play poker constantly?
Yeah.
Like, that would be the way I would be okay with this happening, but it feels like, felt a little padded to me.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's probably going to be, what would they say, the size of this game is like 100 and something gigs? Over 100 gigs, I think.
Over 100 gigs, yes.
For install, and we're expecting at least 30, 40 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this time the side quests are more in tune to the quality of what the main quest was, because I thought the main quest was really good in the first Red Dead, but the side quests were a little weaker. I wasn't emotionally involved in those, and I'm hoping they kind of flesh those out more.
I think we're expecting more gameplay than 30 or 40 hours, and especially if they're bringing heists into Red Dead Online too. Like, this is a game where you're going to get your value for money. You definitely are. I don't think anyone's arguing against that. One of the things that I thought was really interesting that they put in here, they were talking a little bit about the little things that you could do. Not necessarily like dominoes or five-finger fillet or something, but about like eating or drinking specific things, or bathing or not.
Bathing, yeah.
And they showed Arthur walking through and people reacting to the fact that he hadn't bathed. So if this is, you laugh, but this is a cool thing. Like, if your conditions, the condition you keep yourself in, affects perception. If a certain gang is going to trust you more based on what you're wearing, if it's not a binary system, if it's not like you need to go get this specific outfit before you can do this mission. If it's a sliding scale system where it's like they trust you a little bit more, you have 10% better chance kind of thing. Like, I think that's a really cool system. I think that the conditions affecting perception system, we've seen it go wrong in other games, like We Happy Few. It's it made the game less enjoyable having that system. But I think if the system's subtle and if the system doesn't affect too much, then Red Dead Redemption could be the place to get this kind of system right.
Another thing we saw in the video is we actually saw an improvement on the Deadeye system, because all the stuff before we'd seen was kind of what we've already seen, which is the slowdown and kind of the painting your targets. But this added the kind of the vital, like the places that you can shoot on an enemy that will like take them out. The critical points and things like that.
I do like that this is a more cinematic version of the Deadeye. Like, you know, you've got this really good looking sepia tone. One of the things that I noticed there that I'm blanking on whether we had this in Red Dead 1 or Red Dead Redemption rather, the dual wielding. You had dual wielding through the Deadeye system and possibly even outside of the Deadeye system, and it was not two matched weapons. So you had,
I think they was
shooter,
but it was matched. I think in the first one.
Yeah. I mean, whether we had it or not, it is a cool thing to have, and especially in the Deadeye system, because you're having to you have a lot less ammo in a weapon in the Old West than you do in a modern weapon in GTA 5. So like when you're going through. Who had the Deadeye? Like, he had a similar Deadeye system in GTA 5 for one of the characters, or kind of a variation for all three. But having it back in Red Dead and having, you know, you're occasionally going to have the ability to do more than 6 shots, and if you only have a 6-shooter, or you know, more than 2 shots, and if you only have, you know, like you have like a pump action or something like that. Or a bolt action. So the dual wielding I think is a cool mechanic for sure. Is there anything else that really stuck out to you?
No, not really. I mean, it just looks like just how beautiful the environments are. I'm just, you know, part of the joy of playing Red Dead is to go on your horse and just go around the environment and look around and see what happens.
That cinematic mode is going to be so much fun. I know we've been getting a lot of photo mode. You know, Shadow of the Tomb Raider had a photo mode. Spider-Man had a photo mode. But that cinematic mode, I think, is going to be a cool way to appreciate all that stuff without actually taking you out of the moment and pausing everything and, you know, stuff like that. Going on to, like, jumping back to that conditions affecting perception thing, I want to see how different foods and different drink affect things, because like we've always had the thing of like you can pick up alcohol in the game and your vision goes blurry for 5 seconds. I want to see drinking have a reason in this game. I want to see drinking have a meaning. Like maybe drinking with someone is gonna help ingratiate you to them, and they're gonna trust you more. But then at the same time, then you've got the negative effects. Maybe they last a little longer. Maybe your button inputs don't work as well, that kind of thing. Like
your reaction time is slower.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be my biggest worries going into this were that all these systems that they were talking about were going to be binary systems. They were going to be either this effect is on or off. And now seeing this gameplay and seeing so many things pop up, the same thing pop up in a couple different ways, like with the Wanted system, seeing a Dead or Alive version of the Wanted system, an investigation version of the Wanted system, the bounty system, which is completely different from the Wanted system. You know, seeing all these little variations, I think I'm more confident that a lot of things are going to be sliding scale and a lot of things are going to be subtly affecting things to the point where you might not even notice that, you know, your decisions are affecting things. I think that's kind of cool, that if it just flows, like, I think this game is really starting to feel like it's about flow for me. I mean, even the little things like, you know, the little things about the Rage engine, like the jump animation is always really similar, except for, I think, Max Payne. This felt a lot more fluid, even in those things like traversal and stuff like that. Like, we saw the train job where he's climbing up onto the roof and you don't see the animation of a jump interrupted by the animation of climbing. It flows, you know. And then there was a point where he was taking cover where it didn't feel like change to a cover animation. It felt smooth. So that's what I'm excited for in this game. Is everything is starting to look, and I'm starting to appreciate more the fact that everything is looking smooth.
Yeah, what's interesting, I think this game is not going to be vastly different from the first Red Dead, but it seems like more of an evolution where it's refinement. It's taking the things that maybe weren't as polished in the first game and refining them and making them, like you said, less yes, no, black and white, and more refined, where now this one system isn't like, okay, now people are after you, people aren't after you. Where it's like, oh, no, some of these people are after you, some aren't, et cetera.
For some, and I think this is probably where like some of my criticisms came from, is that this is starting to look like the Red Dead Redemption I remembered. And then I went back and I played Red Dead Redemption again, and I like just being what the game was from 2010 versus what we're seeing in gameplay footage now. I'm like, oh, I see the path of improvement. You know, it's like 7 years is a long time, and we expect some improvement. We're on a new console generation, so there's a certain amount of improvement that it's expected, but they're still doing a fantastic job, I think.
All right, guys, so that's our thoughts on the second gameplay trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Joey, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Joey Rasool, RASSOOL.
You can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero, or on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/ColliderGames.